This is a hopefully quick tutorial movie on just how to draw with the pen tool. And I'm using this hard object iPhone to draw with. And I'm going to draw two paths. One on the left side of this black line and one on the outer part to show you how to change and use the tools that are necessary in Photoshop to make changes onto a path. Now, what I want you to see is that I've actually already done this body and painted it, okay, but I'm going to turn off the body folder right there, and I actually have the template lightened, the reference lightened. So I just took some opacity away. Now what I want to do is to show you when you're going to draw a curve, you pick where the curve ends on one side and where the straight line or another curve begins. This is about where I need to be, and I'm going to pull in the direction of the immediate curve. Now let me show you what I mean by that in a second. Okay, so I pulled this handlebar a reasonable distance by clicking, holding, and pulling out of that point, but I aligned it right to the curve as it moves away from the point. Now what does all that mean? Let me show you over here. Let me finish it off by finding where the curve ends and going to where the straight line begins and pulling. Now I'm not really worried about the handlebar where I'm pulling. I want to just put the handlebar on the opposite side, not like this. Now where I want you to be looking is on this handlebar right there. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in. Look at this handlebar as I am manipulating this one. So I'm not going to leave it down because down wouldn't be in the direction of that curve. Up wouldn't be in the direction of the curve. And this would be in the direction of the curve. Now I have to get close and move this point a little farther down. And now do you see where that handlebar is kind of laying on where that curve is right here where I'm pointing? Now to illustrate my point, I made two little red circles where I'm pointing. Look at how every handlebar for whatever curve you're wanting to play with or draw, you're going to position the handlebar as long. You can make it longer, but the direction of the handlebar needs to just lay on the direction of the line that you're looking at. Now what I'm talking about is, you see the black line, the stroke that's underneath? Look at how my pen path here goes in this direction, and that's the same direction as the initial part of the handlebar. Do you see what I'm saying? So you lay your handlebar to touch where the curve of your reference is. Then when you end a curve, you do the same thing. But I wouldn't be pulling this handlebar, I'd be pulling this one. But my eye would be on this one, and it would be aligning on the curve right here. Now let me go back to that other file, show you what I mean again. So I'll delete it and I'll start over. So look at how I'm pulling the handlebar. I'm not going to leave it to the left. I'm not going to leave it to the right. I'm leaving it and letting it rest right on where the curve is, right there. That's where I'm pointing. Now I'll do the same thing over here. Look at how I'll grab it and I'll leave the handlebar right on the curve. Now I'm pointing right there. Now that is the key to this whole thing. I just used the cursor key to move this over. Now, to edit the line, you can wait. I'm holding the Command or Control key, so in the pen tool, you have a path selection tool. You can now grab the handlebar and lengthen it so that that geometry matches the curve right there. Now let's continue the process, and I'll try to say what I need to say as I go. Let me move the layer palette down. So now I need to go to the other part of the curve. There's no need to put a point anywhere on here all the way over to where this curve is. Now let me go over here. Let me move all this stuff down so you can at least see where I'm drawing. Okay, so I'm going to move over here and find where the curve begins and pull a handlebar. Now I'm not worried about this handlebar, but do you see how, and I'm going to zoom in now, do you see how I laid this handlebar in the same direction of this black reference line underneath, and the same thing occurred over here? So now, do you see how I can back off of this? Do you see how I can grab this handlebar and I can move it up or down to edit that line? Now let's go to the other part of the curve. Okay, so I go where the curve ends and I pull in the direction of the geometry. So I'm pulling in the direction of the geometry. So you always click, hold, and pull in the direction of your template or your reference or your geometry, whatever I choose to call it. Now, do you see how I can hold the Command key and edit as I go? All right, now let's move all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to find where the curve begins and click. It's right about, look at it, it's right about here. I'm going to click, hold, and pull in the direction of the geometry. Okay, let's do it again over here. Find where the curve ends, click, hold, and pull. Look at, I'm pulling in the direction of your geometry. So you're always moving forward. Now, if I want to match this up, all I have to do is extend these handlebars. How do I do that? I hold Command or Control, and I just extend the handlebar, and I try to make them even. Now, do you see how I'm making them relatively even? Now, if I can't maneuver the curve to match it up as pretty, okay, I would probably then pick up this point and move it a little closer to the curve. So there's where the edit comes in. Now, do you see how I can make this a little bit less like this? Now, look at how that handlebar, which is connected to this one, is flowing right along the direction of the geometry. Okay, let's go do the other side. So where do I pull? I pull in the direction of the geometry, but since it curves, I really want to say this right. Since it curves, I'm only caring about this little section between here and here, but I need a longer handlebar. But you see how I pulled straight out, but do you see how this is laying beautifully in the direction of the curve? So now I've said that about 5 times. Look, I could have it like this, which would be wrong. I could have it like this, which would be wrong. See, that's not laying on the direction of the curve. Do you see the direction of that curve right there? So now I have to go back and re-edit that and look at how pretty that is right there. Now let's go where the geometry curve ends. Let's back off a little bit and go up here and pull in the direction of the next line of the geometry, and then now all I have to do is not switch the pen tool, just hold the Command or Control key, grab the handlebar, and do you see how I can use 2 handlebars to really make that curve work? Now all I have to do is go back to the beginning. Now back to the beginning is right here. Now, if you're joining in a path, you get a little, I'm going to move in, but it's not going to get any bigger. I'm going to move in. Do you see the little circle that forms? That's telling you you're closing a path. Now, what I want to show you is if you hold Alt or Option, Alt on a PC, Option on a Mac, click, hold, and pull in the direction of the geometry, do you see how it doesn't mess up the previous line? Now, I'll Command Z back and show you what I'm talking about. See how by me moving this handlebar, that one up here is not moving? All right, I'm going to Command Z back. Watch if I don't hold Alt or Option. Then do you see how when I try to maneuver the handlebar, the top one is maneuvering too, and I don't like that? So I'm going to Command Z back. I'm going to hold Alt or Option, and I'm going to pull in the direction of the line, and I'm going to try to keep the handlebars parallel. Now that's a pretty good definition of finishing this entire shape off with only 8 points. Now let's go do another one. Now that would be in the path palette on the bottom. So I have to double click the work path and name it. I'll just say Path Demo 1. Now I have to click away from this because I don't want the next one to be on this one. So how do you click away from it? Well, you have to hold Command or Control and click not here, but out here in the gray area. You see that? Click. Now let's go do the outer line. So I'm going to kind of talk quickly here. Now this has a lot of little changes on it. So I'm going to start about here. Look at, I'm clicking and holding and pulling a little handlebar. I'll move in. Look at, I'm clicking and holding and pulling a little handlebar. Now I'm going to come over here and pull a little handlebar. Now I have to go back and hold the Command key, and look at how I have to shorten that handlebar. Now look at how pretty that geometry is. Now I am ready for the curve. There's my handlebar. So I hold the Command key and pull the handlebar longer. Remember I said I'm holding the Command or Control key and I'm pulling that handlebar farther. I'm not pulling the line, I'm pulling the handlebar. Now let's move up here. Let me zoom out a little bit. Now let me move this over. I don't even need the channel palette, so I don't even know why I have it on the screen. Okay, So look, I'm coming over here. Now I'm finding where the curve ends, and where do I go? You can almost tell me. Click, hold, and pull in the direction of the line. Now, to edit the line, you hold Command or Control and you pull this out. Look at how nicely I actually have matched that line. Now I need to go up here and pull this one down a little bit or push it down, and look at how nice that is. Now look at how this is flowing along the direction of the curve. So let's go over here. We click, hold, and pull in the direction of the curve right there. Leave it just like this. Now we go down here, back off, Mr. Souriel, and pull, find where the curve ends and pull in the direction of the next geometry. You see how I'm leaving it right like this? This is perfect. See how this line right here is resting, the first 1/4 inch or so is resting right on the geometry of the curve. Now, if I hold the command, if I back out, move this down again, and move it over, and now hold down the Command or Control key, look at how I can maneuver half the line this way, and it's already perfect. So that was pretty. Now let's go down to the bottom. Whoops, I went too far. So now let's go down to the bottom. Let's click, hold, and pull right about here. Perfect. That's perfect. Now, there's a little bump right here. You see the little bump? Now I'm going to kind of ignore that bump for a second because I want to show you a trick. So now I come around here, and don't worry about the bump yet. So I click and I held and I pulled to the left. I can go now hold the Command or Control key and go back to the right, and now I can go like this, and you can see how I can pull the handlebars to match that curve, and then I'm not going to worry about this little thing right here until I'm done. I'll come back and fix this. Okay, that's the neat part about pathing. So now I need to, this is not good here. I need to go like this and pull it up a little bit, and that means that this line has to come a little farther forward. See how nicely that, I had it here, it needed to go here. Okay, now this needs to go down a little bit. Okay, now this needs to go back a little bit. Perfect. Now let's go over to here. Let's click, hold, and pull in the direction of the curve. Let's click, hold, and pull in the direction of the curve. Now, look at how I've laid that right here. Let's now pull the handlebar by holding Command or Control and edit the line. That's perfect. This one needs to come down a bit. I'll come back over to this point in a minute. Now let's go over here. Let's go all the way up to here. And now look at how I'm going to click and pull a little tiny handlebar. Now let's get close. Now, I'm going to shorten the handlebar by holding Command or Control. Now watch how I just pull a little handlebar, go over here and pull a little handlebar in the direction of the curve. Look at how nice that is. I can even pick it up by holding the Command or Control key. Now I don't want this handlebar to be that long, so I'm going to shorten it. Now watch how I pull a little handlebar and pull a little handlebar to go this way. Now let me move this one down and over to right here. So I've pulled handlebars every time. So if I want to clean this up, I zoom in. Look at how I've now cleaned that up. You see how I had it like this? It needed to be kind of like that. All right, now let's go over to the button. This button has little notches in it. So I'm going to now go over here. I have to kind of use my artist's license to draw the notches. Now look at how easy I'm actually drawing the notches by click, hold, and pull each time. So click, hold, and pull, click, hold, and pull, click, hold, and pull. You see how easy that is now? Click, hold, and pull in the direction you're going. Click, let me move this over. Click, hold, and pull around here. Click, hold, and pull around here. When you have something this pixelated, you have to just understand that I'm trying to put it as close to the edge. Now I didn't do a very good job there, so what do I need to do? Hold the Command key, Brian, and put it a little farther this way. That's fine. That's perfect. Now let's go over here to the other part of the curve. Let's go click, hold, and pull. Now I should have moved that down a little bit. I guess I don't care about that light gray thing. Now I'll just put it over here. That's fine. I'll come up here like this, click, hold, and pull. Let's go over to here and click a curve in the same direction of the curve. Look at how nice I've got that. I'm zooming in. Now I'll click, hold, and pull this way. I should have moved that down a little bit like this, and I'll go like this to click, hold, and pull. just a little bit right there. That's pretty. That's clean geometry. Let's now go up. Let's now go over. Let's now go up. And I need to go to this one, since I went, actually it could go to that one. That one's okay. I don't know. I don't think it matters. So let's go like this. Let's go down like this, because I'm so close on this. Now, do you see where I started right there? Now, how do I join in something that I've already started? Well, let me click, hold, and pull this to right here. Let me move this one back up a little bit. Let's lessen the size of the handlebar. Move this one over just a tad. Okay, I've got to move this one over. All right, that one's not going to cooperate a whole bunch, so I'm just going to go like this. That's fine. Now, I want to join in. Whoops. I have to Command Z back. I made a mistake. Okay, that is the handlebar for that point. Okay, good. Now, I want to just join in this. So what do? I hold the Option or Alt key and just join in like this. And you can see how I have that path pretty nicely done. Now, look how close I was. I really could have been back this far. Now I'm going to fix this because I don't like the geometry. Watch how Brian fixes this. I'm going to click a pen point right here. The pen automatically to a closed path will let me click a pen point. Now I can minus this one out, and now that feels better. That feels nicer. So I just took the one out that I had tried to put in and it wasn't working, and now I have that button done nicely, and there's my path all the way around this. Let's move down to the bottom. I'll show you how I'll fix that. There's 2 points I could add here. 3 actually, that would work. If I just click here and add that point, the pen just automatically adds. I can hold the Command key and pull it over here. Now I've already fixed that one. Now all I have to do is secure it right here and put it right about there. Secure it right here. See what I'm doing? Right there. So now the path doesn't move, right? So now I've secured it here. I've secured it about here. If I just put an extra point here and then hold the Command key and put it in, you see how I have the little notch there? So I actually added these 3 points here that I'm circling afterward. Now, watch this a couple of times. Let me really zoom that back out so you can see what I've done. So there is the path. Let me just very gently show the phone in there. Okay, and let me put this way up there. Okay, so my point to you is, to get good at the pen tool, you have to really understand this concept. And the concept is, lay the handlebars right where the curve happens. So if you're starting it, your first handlebar that you pull is going to just align with the curve here, or the geometry of the reference. The second one, even though you know you're pulling this handlebar, your eye is really looking at this handlebar. And you're looking at laying the handlebar right here where it's actually aligning. Now, my handlebars in that case were too short. I've already made them longer by holding the Command key. So I hope that helped. And I hope you can just practice that a few times.